Hello, everyone. I'm particularly excited to welcome you all to our session today in the Industry Expert Series, where we are going to speak everything about supply chain management in pharmaceutical industries. And who better than to share his experiences, who has spent over 25 plus years in handling critical pharma supply chains. With immense pleasure, I welcome our guest for today, Mr. Hiren Dani. Hiren has over 25 plus years experience in the industry and has risen through the ranks. Currently, he is the head of supply chain management India for West Pharmaceuticals. Speaking about his passion, he is an avid runner, an ultra runner to be specific, and an amateur cyclist. I can't wait to hear from him share his experiences and insights from career and life. Welcome, Hiren.
Hi, Shivranjani. Thank you very much for having me on this session.
Yes, all our pleasure. And to Hiren, to start with, I would like you to tell us about your life journey.
Yeah, so honestly, I started my, or you can say I would rather say I started my career uh, by completing my commerce graduation, and then I was doing a lot of jobs that came to me, as in like a normal commerce graduate who has no vision at
Right.
at the passing of graduation. So I just started and doing various works or various kind of jobs. Only one thing I was sure about is I won't ever like to get into sales and marketing, and I don't
Mhm.
know why, but I was very particular about it that I would not, and that's how it was. So anything which was coming in sales and marketing, I was denying. Other than that, I was going for whatever I get to get occupied at that time. And basically, I hail from the western part of India. I honestly say western part of India, because it is Gujarat and Baroda to be specific. And I'm specifically a Gujarati. Again, I specify that because Baroda is predominantly a lot of Maharashtrian population as well. So that's how I start off. I did my commerce graduation and started working in various aspects. I worked with a pager company in the back end, translating messages. Did a
Hmm.
customer service job there to start with, and then I was for a couple of months or for 4 or 5 months, I was also working with some IPCL or IOCL as assisting their as an assistant in computer operations to their VPs and all. And then first ever, like you can say, the threshold or to the entry into supply chain, I started. I got an opportunity to work with a logistics company there, or not a logistics company, into logistics field with a small time manufacturer of some mechanical parts. The person wanted somebody who can speak in English and communicate with the foreign customers so that it becomes easy for him. So and also handle this forwarding thing, which I didn't have any experience at that time, but I just joined in. So that's how it started, and I didn't know anything about it, but I was supposed to be coordinating with the transporter, getting the shipment picked up. I didn't know what am I doing and what this transporter has to do or how, but I was doing it, and now I understand what I was exactly into. I was coordinating with the documents. I was giving the documentation forward, completing the whole cycle up to it is received by the customer, and that's how it all started. With that experience, or with that minimum experience, I would
Mhm.
say I got another opportunity with an IPBX company, and I got into second portion of supply chain, which is like purchasing. So that's how I got into purchase, and I started learning bill of materials, and I started learning safety stocks and supplier hunting. Along with that, my the first logistics part was still carried forward. I was supposed to be handling logistics as well. So that's how, like, the second feather in the crown, as we say, the purchasing got added, and
Yes.
from there, the big one into logistics came into picture. I worked with General Motors, but as an implant through their CHAs, and that's how I learned exactly what logistics is, what ocean freight means, and what air freight means, and how that would go. and the volumes of that, because those General Motor volumes were like
Yes.
incredibly high, and handling one BL of lighting will have 120, 130, 150 containers, and
Right.
it that was a huge volume that I handled. And I think that that particular part gave me a big breakthrough in logistics, because that's how I learned every part of logistics, or related parties, and all what not, and everything there. So it was a big breakthrough for me, I would say. And then I worked with GE Plastics,
Mhm.
General Electric company, for plastics division for around 7 years. I worked with them, and that's where the supply chain comes into picture, where I like joined in as a logistics officer, and then got into S&OP, and then sales and operations planning, demand forecasting, all those things then started coming into picture. And finally, I reached, by the time of leaving GE Plastics, I was supply chain manager. And I cannot forget that part, because that is where I climbed the ladder, and
Sure.
started getting into it. So that's how it worked. And after GE, there were a couple of more experiences with Becton Dickinson, and then now after Becton Dickinson, I'm with this Pharmaceuticals again from last 7.5 years. So second biggest stint in my career. And obviously, after reaching a particular level, like becoming a supply chain manager, there were not too many jumps across. I'm now I heading the supply chain for India, but the experiences matter. And the way companies work, or the way there are opportunities, or the
Yes.
way things or of difficulties come. That that's how it works. So just one thing I would like to add, because this is for a business school and for the aspiring candidates.
Yes.
Very important part of my career. I still feel proud about it. Is that as I said, I start from Baroda, Gujarat. I From there, I would say I moved to Calcutta. I moved to Bangalore. From Bangalore, I moved to Gurgaon, and from Gurgaon, I moved to Chennai.
Wow.
So there are two parts of it. You sacrifice certain personal things, and move around the country, move around, keep yourself flexible. It helps, and that's what helped me. I'm in Chennai, and that's what we know, right? Where uh, um, you know it's not that easy to settle down in Chennai for 7 years, and I did it, or I am here with a lot of friends around. So that happens when you are open for flexible for movement, and relocation is a very important part.
Wow, what a beautiful message right away. So, Hiren, moving on, I can clearly see from the journey so far that you've explained to us that supply chain happened to you by accident. It was not a very sort of a formal career choice that you made. Now, my question to you is what attracted you or what motivated you to stay in supply chain and not probably look at any other, field of work?
See, as I said, like, the first very important part, I was clear. So again, or I'll go back to my graduation, like in MS University, from where I graduated in commerce. Uh, a BCom is the least degree that anybody would have, right? So, and around 4,500 or 5,000 students would pass out every year from the college, or with a degree of Bachelor of Commerce. So when I write Bachelor of Commerce, certain people feel it like, or maybe my counterparts or my colleagues in US and Europe feel, oh, Bachelor of Commerce. But then I know, because 5,000 people pass out every year, it's not a big deal. So only one thing I was clear. My friends were clear, they will go anything, and most of them went to sales and marketing. Maybe they would be earning more than what I earn today, but I was very clear, whatever it is, I am not going to sales and marketing. And yeah, as you said, I rightly pointed out, yes, through the journey, it's very clear that it happened accidentally.
Hmm.
Yeah, but what motivation is, you should be ready for challenges, and
Yes.
that's what I like. Somehow, new challenges, something new every day, or
Mhm.
every couple of hours you can experience only in this field.
Wow.
Uh, it is quite challenging certain times. Certain times you will have flexibility, but I would say, or ease, but that ease is only, I would say, 10 to 15% or 20%. Most of the times we are occupied by different kind of challenges, and that keeps me motivated because I am not doing a repeated job.
Hmm.
I am not doing anything. And today also, like after 20-22 years, I cannot say I am an expert. To be honest, I cannot say I am an expert because maybe after this call or after this meeting, I again go back somewhere and some email is waiting for me, which gives me a different kind of question, which I would have never seen, and I would have to do a lot of research to find out how do we resolve it. There are a lot of, you would know, right? There are a lot of customs related queries. There are a
Yes.
lot of those kind of questions which we are never, which we would have never seen it in our entire career, and that's what helps, or that's what keeps me motivated, because at least that forces me to go back and do some study, do some research, do some googling around, and read some brochures or read some literature around it, that how do we resolve this.
Sure.
So that's challenges, or I mean, in one line, the challenges or the difficulties that we face in this field keeps me motivated to continue in this field.
Oh, lovely. So, challenges and also the constant learning, as you have
Yes.
spoken about. So, coming back and specifically speaking about pharmaceutical supply chains, Hiren, handling pharma supply chains is not very easy. It does carry a lot of challenges. I
Yeah.
want you to throw some light on what are some of the critical aspects of a pharma supply chain that really differentiate it from the others.
Yeah. So as I said, like I have worked with GE Healthcare. I have worked with Becton Dickinson, and I'm working with now West Pharma. All three are of different kind of, they are all pharma, but different kind of relations into pharma field. So what is more important here is all of them are into a customer or a patient touch. What is more important here is that you think about the end patient. So what is the first requirement here is quality, because a certain labs, a small labs, which at the time of procuring or doing certain things, you might feel that it is nothing big, it's a simple thing. But at the end of the day, when a patient gets injected, we don't know how it would react. So it is very important that we stay focused on this, and that's most important part of it, that we always have to keep on top the patient health, because we touch the lives of people. It's very important. Our products touch the lives of people, so we have to be very careful. That way, when it's about pharma and pharma, suppliers kind of thing, these are the products, and these products matter a lot to the lives of people.
Sure. Yes, Hiren. It clearly defines how critical it is while you are dealing with pharmaceutical supply chains. Now, moving on, the pandemic, COVID has had an impact on all the industries. And as
Yeah.
we know it, pharma has been on the forefront of it all. My question to you is, how do you think the dynamics of the pharma supply chains has changed in the pre and the post COVID era? Is there a change at all? If yes, what are the changes?
The first thing I would like to say is there is no post era yet. We don't have any post pandemic era still. I would be very happy once we reach that stage. So we are still finding, or we are still seeing the number of cases increasing. So pandemic is still on, and we are still struggling with it. We are still fighting with it. So let's keep it up to only pre and during kind of thing. There is no post era still, right? So pre was still okay. We
Yes.
were having some logistics, or we were having some pharma companies, and it was a regular thing, right? People were knowing, and everything was in control as such, in terms of, you say, drug manufacturers or pharma companies, or everybody's like, they are manufacturing certain drugs and medicines, and it is getting supplied on a regular basis, which was a regular cycle. Suddenly it happened that we have a pandemic crashing on our head, and nobody was aware how do we deal with it, because I believe whosoever was alive in this in 2020 January or 2020 March maybe has not seen any kind of this kind of things in earlier, which has, I mean, there were pandemics, but it were restricted to some parts of world. It never was like the globe is under a pandemic and everybody is struggling with it. So this was the first of its kind for experience for everybody, and everybody was struggling. And that's where the whole everybody started learning, or everybody started doing certain things which were never done before, and trying to accommodate people. There were a lot of urgencies, there were a lot of immediate requirements, because the way number of cases jumped in 2020, or maybe we can say 2021, two times it happened, right? Two, in both the years we experienced one wave. So first wave and second wave respectively. So both the years we experienced so many cases increasing, so many people getting into it. And uh, specifically speaking, going back to 2020 when it happened, we didn't know, nobody knew, actually I won't say we, but nobody knew how to cure it. There were experiments going on, there were some and whenever something was, I won't say anything, but I would say a particular thing was, or way of treating was getting successful, it was spreading across the medical community or the doctor community, and they were using that. And when that was getting used, the demand of that particular part item was going to increase suddenly. Nobody assumed. So there were situations when I think the pharma companies working 24 hours was less. I mean, they were in a situation that they wished that the day increases from 28 to 48 hours so that they can produce more in a particular day. It was a very bad situation, and I feel everybody in pharma industry or pharma sector would have felt that we hope that the day increases so that we produce more and ship out more, so that more number of lives can be saved. That's how it was during the 2020, even 2021. Once vaccines were out, the situation remained same, because the vaccine manufacturers, the pressure on them increased. Initially it was only 60 and above, then only first like health workers and 60 and above, and then 40 and above, and all those things came in. So it was not that everybody would get vaccinated immediately. So, and vaccines were also produced, right? So all those pharma companies had to cut out their medicinal or the treating drugs and produce vaccines. Pressures on them from government were high, and they were, in turn they would put pressures on their pharma suppliers also. So everybody was, again, still 2021 was a heavy pressure. And I think the learning there was also the same, that we have to step up and find innovative ways. Now you won't ask me what innovative ways, because those ways are like very very unusual ways certain times that some people come out with, and the things work out. But by that I won't mean that the quality was compromised, the the standard was compromised. I think it was, India has stood up to the situations very hard and very very strong, where I think we have done a very good job vaccinating the people in 1 year. Number of, I think we are number one in the number of vaccinations done in a year, or post pandemic we have achieved highest number of vaccinations. So even the double vaccinations as well, and now, as we have come into the third booster. So those situations, how I would say India, when India takes that pride doing of that, it is on the back end somewhere that the pharma companies stood up to the task, did a lot of innovations, and produced more, because it was only 24 hours a day. And supply chain, production, or even their suppliers on the back end would have worked very hard to get this through. So when you ask me the learnings of those pre or post, learning is very simple. You have to step up at a particular point of time when the requirement comes in, and start thinking out of the box. The whole industry, the whole country started thinking differently, and out of the box, out of the blue thoughts, as we say, we came into picture when the things got changed. And we are standing on, now we start the third booster, we start the kids vaccination. So that happens only because of that. Otherwise, if the in normal circumstances, if pharma companies would not do, or would not have stood up to the task and continued their usual way of doing things, maybe we would have not reached half of what we have reached today. So a lot of innovative ways come in. The only learning, again, I repeat, is the same. You have to think out of the box and do a lot of things, which I would not name it because it might work, it might not work in other situations. It worked there because it was a situation, and people were able to do it.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much for actually sharing with us and elaborate about the whole journey. Now, Hiren, my next question to you is what are some of the greatest learnings or the biggest learnings you have made through your career?
See, throughout the career, as I think I would have said multiple times now, and the same thing would might get repeated, but I would still say that the situation, there are things that are, I don't want to name, or I don't want to say that what profession is good and what is bad. It is all about what you like and how you work it out. So the learnings, the achievements are are always, are behind you. But the way it works is, um, when I started working, I didn't know what logistics means. I don't know what transport means. I don't know which companies are in transport and what is a freight forwarder, what is ocean, what is air. All those things were new. When I started learning and when I started understanding, I learned a lot. And I actually understood that it's not ocean. It's if you mix up all seven oceans, it's lesser to learn in this field, and that's how it works. So that is one of the biggest thing here. And then, as and when you keep climbing, keep changing, keep moving around and spend time, this industry or this profession gives a lot of challenges. It keeps throwing challenges in front of you in one way or the other, for you to manage the things. Keep yourself cool, very important, because uh, it is not where where you can lose your temper and make the things go. You have to keep it very cool in situations and handle the things. There are conditions when the things change very, very fast, and for you the time to react is less. You have to take fast decisions, very importantly. So these are the learnings, and biggest learning, again, as I say, what I get is, there would be a lot of challenges, there would be a lot of tasks in front of you, and I think that keeps you engaged. Otherwise, life is very monotonous.
Oh, sure, sure. And from that is where I connect my next question. And I think it's very important for you to answer this because you are somebody who has managed this beautiful balance between professional life at the same time pursuing your passion for running. So, why do you think one should nurture their passion? How important do you think it is to nurture one's passion in terms of, an overall success perspective?
Yeah, see, I would say I have both these passions, in terms of fitness, as well as as I say, my passion for running, as well as the professional passion of exceeding in, or moving forward in this profession of supply chain, getting some challenges every day. I love those things. And when you say passion, or I take it as a personal or your personal hobbies kind of thing when you talk about it. So see, for me, running gives me, or ultra running, when you say ultra running, it is something above 25 or 30 kilometers run. And see, when you run even 10 kilometers, those 10 kilometers are something which is, nobody's along with you. Your mind is alone to think about what you want to think. And certain times I feel it's a time for me to meditate, or it gives completely, after a certain time, it gives completely off. You're broken off from everything. It's only your time. It's my me time. It's my meditation time. So the longer I run, the longer I get my me time. You cross a lot of people around, but those are the people, like, that is only a wave at them, but your mind is still occupied, and your mind is still thinking certain things. I get a lot of answers, in terms of personal or professional, whatever you say, during a long run or during a run. And that helps, right? Because at that time there are a lot of things that pop up, and you figure out how to handle it. So that's how it is. So it's about, like, some people would have a passion of some people would have a passion for music, somebody would have passion for playing music, somebody for listening music, all those things. So while you listen to music, I feel I like listening music. But so when you sit calm in a room with nobody around you and listen your music 100% with your closed eyes, you will solve a lot of problems that you face in professional or personal life. So that's all about your that's how you, or that is where you need to follow your passion along with your professional life. That helps to solve a lot of things.
Wow, I'm sure this is going to be a motivation for many of us. And now,
For sure.
finally, my last question to you, Hiren, which a part of it you've answered in the beginning. However, I would like you also to tell us what would be the message that you would want to share with the aspiring logisticians.
So for the aspiring logisticians, see, the very important part about this profession is again, as I said, like Arjun, you also said it, that you have to be ready for challenges, you have to love challenges, and you don't have to be afraid of challenges. Again, that doesn't mean that, by this statement you step back and think about, should I be getting into logistics? No, don't do that. Be ready for it, is what I would say, because this field will give you a very innovative way of handling things, and you yourself will create a lot of innovations to handle things. And that's how you've taken up the challenge, you have taken up this field, you will succeed. But you have to get into it. Don't get bogged down with the challenges, and keep moving. Because again, I repeat, or maybe I would have repeated 10 times, that at least this gives you different kind of challenges, different kind of ways to handle things. And it's your own uh, personal development. Because when you get different kind of things, when you get different challenges, until today, 22 years or 25 years in industry, I still get every day a different challenge, which is because of which I say that my mind remains occupied. And that's what everybody says, right? That we don't want it to become a devil's home. So if you don't want to make it a devil's home, then this is the right place. You'll get a lot of things to keep your mind self busy, and so your mind will never become a devil. So just pursue it, be ready for challenges, and if you are ready and you are bold enough to take the challenges, you keep your mind ready and strong, you will handle all these challenges for sure. It's not big deal.
Wow, wow. On that note, on behalf of the Business School of Logistics and Shipping, I would really like to thank you for having taken time out from your very busy schedule and actually sharing such great insights with us about the supply chains in the pharma industry. So thank you once again, Hiren.
Thank you, Shivaranjani, for getting me into this session. At least I also realize a lot of things that happens around. And so while speaking, you realize a lot of things. So thanks again. Thank you. Thanks a lot to have for having me in this session. This helps.
Thank you.